Some years ago, I was journeying with a young friend, a young student who was having difficult time in his life. If I had to describe what was going on, he was sad. He was very sad. And his sadness resulted from a lot of disappointments, resentments, family issues. And I remember talking with him. I don't know exactly how it came up, but I was trying to help him find ways of working through the sadness. I remember saying to him, in the church, we don't honor Mary as our mother of sadness or Our Lady of Sadness. We honor her as Our Lady of Sorrows. And as I recall that encounter with that friend, I thought, what exactly is the difference between sadness and sorrow? Because I believe there is. If you look, or I go around on the internet, some people say, well, sorrow is just more profound. Sorrow is just more intense. It's just deeper than sadness. They're the same thing. But I tried to look a little more, and I was kind of thinking myself, I thought, no, they're not. I think they're really different. They're both real emotions, and they're both legitimate. But I found something that really captured it for me. A poem was that basically talking about both sorrow and sadness, that both have an emptiness. There's an emptiness there, but the difference between sadness and sorrow is, with sadness, the emptiness has always been there. With sadness, the emptiness has always been there. It's usually a lack of something we never had. We've always had the emptiness, so it's usually something that we wish we had. Like, I wish I was 6 foot and 5 inches tall, and I'm sad because I'm not taller. I'm sad because I'm trying to get their attention to like me, but they don't like me. Or I'm sad because I didn't get this job or whatever. It's legitimate to feel sad about those things, but they're not the loss of something we had generally. It's usually something we want that we don't have. The emptiness is there already. Sorrow, on the other hand, sorrow, I think, is more intense, more profound. It also is an emptiness, but it's an emptiness caused by the loss of something we had. The emptiness is new. It was never there before, unlike the emptiness in sadness. And most often, the emptiness in sorrow is connected with the loss of someone. It can be something very profound. It's usually an emptiness that cannot be filled by anything else. The loss of a loved one that no one else, or the loss of a love that no one else can replace. In sadness, we can work through in healthy ways. We either make changes in our life to get what is that we're missing and that we're trying to obtain, or we acknowledge there's some things we just can't have, and we work our way through, and we deal with the disappointment, and we redirect our energy. We try to overcome the sadness, but sorrow is different. The loss from sorrow You cannot just make it up. You have to own it and sit with it. And you can grieve. No? There's healthy ways to deal with grief and prayer and conversion and therapy sometimes when it's profound. But there's an acknowledgement that the loss is never going to go away. And that's what we commemorate today, Our Lady of Sorrows. We don't commemorate just the loss. We commemorate the love, the genuine love of our Blessed Mother for her Son and for us that led to the sorrow. Sorrow is almost always connected to love. The loss of what we love that cannot be made up. And so we commemorate Our Lady today as Our Lady of Sorrows, not because she was sad. We commemorate her because she loved so profoundly. And because of that, whenever that's true, ultimately, finally, there will be sorrow. There will be loss of some point, because everything passes. And so, our response, and we see in Mary, her response to the loss of Jesus, and his loss was to stand by him as we commemorate her on this feast today. We also acknowledge that the only real response we can do to someone in sorrow is to be with them, to stand by them. We cannot fix it, but we can stand by them. Mary did that at the foot of the cross. And Mary, as the mother of the church, does that for the church and for us. She can't fix it, but stand by us even in our deepest sorrow.